All right, what's up, you guys? We are going to talk about something very, very good today. It is getting comfortable with unconventional ministry and the case for systems for change. And I'm going to very vulnerably share why I am so passionate about us being okay with trying new things in order to improve our individual effectiveness, in order to improve the effectiveness of kingdom ministry and business. And so I'm just going to start sharing very, very vulnerably. I have been doing some personal reflections for myself to understand why I am where I am in life, ministry, and business. And if you visited my profile, you probably have noticed a post where I kind of shared some of my backstory of being married and going through divorce, and all of the things. And so let me kind of explain why I would say that I am in ministry very unconventionally. So, hello, Janelle. How are you doing? So I mentioned before that I am what you would call a pew baby. I was born in a church, a very religious upbringing, traditional upbringing, and was raised in the church. Of course, when I got of age, I did my own thing, particularly around high school, college. Then I came to my senses. That like the reason why we were raised to worship God and to read the Bible and all of those spiritual disciplines was to keep ourselves out of trouble, you know? And so when I came to my senses, God began to deal with me in a very unconventional way. I'll say God began to deal with me in a way that I could not question his existence. I could not question his call on my life. And I say that because I remember being in my studio apartment when I was in college. I remember being super high. I probably had some drinks. I probably, just left somebody's bed, to be honest, or was trying to get into someone's bed. Um, and I remember crying out in misery and in depression because all of the decisions that I made for myself got me into bondage. And I did not know how to get out myself if I tried, even if I tried. And so I remember crying out to God in spiritual pain and emotional pain in the middle of physical addictions. And God began to respond to me. And He began to win my heart over for Him. He began to win my heart over to dedicate my life to Him. And it was before, I mean, so there was still some work that needed to be done in my life in order to be able to let go of my addictions, in order to be able to get out of toxic relationships. But that was a work in progress. And so um, God began to deal with my heart at a very, very young age. And once I began to make the commitment to surrender my life to Christ and to be used by God, God began to give me a vision of who He called me to be. Um, and so for years, for years, like all of the things that I talk about, all of the things that I write about, all of the things that I stand for in kingdom entrepreneurship and ministry, it is not new. God began to deal with my heart on these things all the way when I was in college, way back when. And so right now, I would say that because of my walk with God, because of my convictions for Him, my convictions to purpose, my convictions um, to serve the body and to serve the lost, um, and I say that I'm in unconventional ministry, um, because I do not have an official position within the four walls of the church. I have held various roles in ministry, but right now I do not have a traditional ministry within the traditional four walls of the church. But it does not minimize my heart for God. It does not minimize the impact that He is calling me to have. And so um, that I just wanted to say that piece, okay? And so over the years of God dealing with me and showing me how He wanted to use me in ministry, kingdom entrepreneurship was a critical piece in the vision. All y'all, I guarantee you, even when I was in college, going to a ministry that was on the college campus, I will always talk about how God is going to raise up His people, His sons and His daughters, to be active in the marketplace, active in kingdom entrepreneurship. And so, of course, like I got caught up in systems. I got a career in accounting and finance. I was in that. I went to school, got a degree, got a career, and I was in that career for over 15 years. But then when God started to deal with my heart again, I created a brand. I created a Christian brand that evolved to what it is right now. And so for the last couple years, I've been working with kingdom entrepreneurs to help them create these systems for change that help them to also get into this space that I am calling unconventional ministry. And I want to talk about what the difference is between traditional ministry, that I believe is a great start, but that God is wanting to evolve into unconventional ministry so that it can be the new conventional. um, and so these systems for change are really a matter of going out into ministry, going out into the personal lives of people, going out into the marketplace to see what are the struggles, what are the challenges, what are the issues, the problems that are prevalent, that are keeping people from entering into an intimate and productive relationship with God. And what are the problems that are hindering God's people and the lost from experiencing the promises of God? So I've been working with entrepreneurs who have a conviction to not just work for a check, to pay bills, and then to departmentalize faith life into church on Sunday, midweek Bible study. I've been working with these entrepreneurs to help them see how they can merge their desires to live a purpose driven life and also merge their desires to be gainfully employed by Jesus, CEO. Okay. And so I've been doing that work for some time. Amazing, fulfilling work, amazing and fulfilling relationships that I have developed with these kingdom entrepreneurs. And I'm actually going into retreat this week with many with a few of these clients that I've worked with over the years. Um, and so over the summer, God called me to rest from that work because I needed to be pruned and I needed to switch gears to to embrace a more comprehensive role in the vision that God has given me and a more comprehensive role in ministry. Because for the longest, I believe um, that my business was my ministry, and as long as I had that, I had the fulfillment that I needed. I was getting the results. It was paying the bills. Like it was doing all of the things. And God began to slowly break that down and show me it's time to rest from that so that I could go to my first love for ministry. Um, and and this meaning to help ministries that are working with souls, whether straight off the street, unchurched, or souls that have been in ministry but are still struggling to find their way into healing, into sanctification, and into a purposeful life. And so this is a new beginning for me. I feel like I'm starting from scratch. Um, and I will say that I have to be uncomfortable with being in this unconventional ministry. Like it could be very easy for me to go to a church, to become a part. Well, let me say what the traditional path for me would be is to go to a church, become a member of that church, um, sign up to be a part of the volunteer team, or sign up to be part of the choir or the praise and worship um, team, or just different things. And I know that God has not called me to fill any of those roles, and I'm called to do what I am called to do, which is to help ministries um, understand the needs of the body, and to develop the leadership team, to develop the vision of the ministry, to be unconventional, to do what has never been done. And this is where Quantum Leap Culture for Christ comes in, because I believe that God is calling us as the body of Christ on an individual, leadership, and organizational level to perform great and global exploits. And it's time for us to embrace an accelerated rate of progress and accelerated rates of results for the lost, for the people in ministry that feel like they are in limbo and trying to find their way, trying to find their purposeful positions, where they feel seen, where they feel heard, and where they feel fully utilized with the gifts that God has given them to expand his kingdom. And so it's a big assignment. And I will say that, you know, the vision that God has given me is it feels humbling, it feels exciting, but it's a big burden that I cry about because I'm like, God, I can I just do something like that's regular? Can I just unsee what I've seen? Can I just be cute and just do regular things? But it is what it is. It is what it is. And so I just wanted to come on here to vulnerably share that when I was married, I was a part of a ministry for years. Well, I think when we were married, I was part of two main ministries. And once I divorced, that's when kind of my relationship with church just started to get very, very, very rocky. And I'll say this, I will say this, that I believe that my relationship with the traditional setting of ministry got so incredibly rocky because of how things went down in my former marriage and how I began to see the breakdowns in traditional ministry with the way that I was handled, with the way that things were handled in general, like with that whole separation, with that divorce, with seeing my needs, with seeing the needs of my marriage, and how that I believe that it was a total flop. It was a total failure of how it was dealt with. And so, speaking from this point of view, I acknowledge that the body of Christ has so many different needs. And people have actually left the church because those needs were not met. People have actually settled because those needs were not met. And this is the case for systems for change. We have had enough of one off sermons. We have had enough of series that show how brilliant and anointed the leaders are. But the system for change is really going to meet the body where they are so that we are educated by sermons, we are educated by conferences, we are educated by the series, by the revivals, we're educated. But then there's a system for change that helps to heal the broken soul. There's a system for change that empowers those that are ready to go full force in ministry or full force in kingdom entrepreneurship. A system for change is going to take people from A to B. If you have an issue with sexual immorality, if you have an issue with toxic beliefs that keep you unemployed or keep you underemployed, if you have an issue in marriage, if you have an issue with parenting, there are systems for change to help the body walk out those issues and those challenges to victory. And that's what I am standing for. That's what I'm standing for. And so you will never, I'm going to say this, I'm going to say this, I'm going to have the audacity to say this, that you will never see me in, in a position or in a role that does not acknowledge the full depth and brevity of the vision that God has given me. And and and, and that is not an arrogance. That is just to say that I know who I am. I know what God called me to. And I will just be in this very uncomfortable place until I find my way, until I find my position in this new assignment that God has given me. And with that being said, I'm going to sign off.